And to be able to use the quadratic formula or any part of it, the equation has to be set equal to 0 in question 5. Is it ready to use any part of the quadratic formula? Question 3. I saw the 5 in the front. Yeah, you're right. My fault. So, is that ready to use the quadratic formula or any part of it? No. What are we going to do with this? Move it over, right? 5x squared minus 8x minus 4 equals 0. Now, this says solve. Does that mean I only need to do step 1, which is the discriminant? Or do I need to do the entire quadratic formula? The entire thing. On the chalkboard over there on the side, toward the front of the room, I did write out the 2 steps. That will not remain there forever. Please make sure it's in your notes. Okay? Step 1, find the discriminant. Step 2, solve the rest of the quadratic formula. Go. Suggest you write out your discriminant before you try to type it on a calculator, because I've seen people making mistakes because they're just trying to type. Make sure you write it out first. E squared minus 4ac. So step number 1, negative 8, quantity squared, minus 4 times 5 times negative 4. What did we get as a discriminant? 144. 144. Okay, if we're not getting that, I need to know so I can help you fix that problem right there. There's parentheses usually that are the issue. Yeah, I would. Especially around the negative numbers. Okay. Anybody else not getting? step 2, if you got the 144, you got to get those x values. Well, the square root of 144, what is that? That's 12. Okay, so that makes my life a little easier. And on the bottom, 2 times 5, is it always going to be what? No, it won't. But I will say this. If you're being asked to come up with solutions if it comes out to something other than a nice perfect square, let the calculator do the work. Alright, we're not going to sit there and have all kinds of weird, 2 plus or minus 5 radical 3 all over 7. We're not going to have those weird answers, okay? We're going to let the calculator do the work and come up with decimals. Okay, so 8 plus 12 over 10 and 8 minus 12 over 10. What did those two answers give me? 2 is one of them, yep. Negative 0.4. Or negative 2/5 if you're a fraction fan. I don't care whether you give me the decimal or the fraction, it doesn't bother me. Okay, question 4. Your class is selling boxes of flower seeds as a fundraiser. The total profit depends on the amount X that your class charges for each box of seeds. Scroll up really fast. Okay. Now, what kind of parabola is this? Does it open up or open down? Okay, let's get a visual of what's going on here. We've got this down opening parabola. Now, obviously, only quadrant 1 matters to us because we are dealing with money. The price of an item. The amount of profit. We are not charging a negative amount of money. We are not making a negative amount of profit. That doesn't make sense for this situation. Now, it says, what's the smallest amount in dollars that you can charge to make a profit of at least $105? Suppose this line is $105. It will cross 2 times. Do you think I'm looking for the green mark on the left or the green mark on the right? How do you know left? Because we want the smaller of the two. The quadratic formula is going to give you 2 answers, folks, but one of them is not the one you're looking for, as Obi-Wan would say. What are we going to plug in here for the profit? Please do not tell me 0, because that means you're telling me we want to make $0. 105. 105, thank you very much. In order to use the quadratic formula, what am I going to have to do with this number? Subtract it to the other side, because you cannot use any part of the quadratic formula unless it's set equal to 0, which we've done several times now. Okay. All right, go. Step number 1, find your discriminant. Then step number 2, use the rest of the quadratic formula. discriminant?
We're not finished yet, Mr. Stick.
Okay. 75 is correct for your discriminant.
What?
That's step number 1, 75.
75?
Yep.
How?
25 squared minus 4 times negative 0.5 times negative 275 is equal to the whole number 75. Now that's just that's step number 1. Yes.
Wait.
Okay, I can grab my calculator.
I'm
Oh,
going to
sorry.
answer for all of us. We did A, B, C.
A is the left, B is the middle, C is the right.
No, I did all that. I did all that. I still got one.
Your 0.5 should have a negative sign in front of it. That's how you mess that up. Okay, you got it. That's the only, and that will change things. You got to make sure those negatives are in there when they're, because that'll change your values. Okay? Okay, all right. Okay, yes, good. All right. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of 75 all over 2 times negative 0.5. Now, if I won't, but if you are uncomfortable knowing that 2 times negative 0.5 is negative 1, suppose you're uncomfortable with that. Put parentheses around that denominator like that. Those red ones will be important to you. If you're uncomfortable multiplying those two things at the bottom on your own, then make sure when you go through the process of finding the two answers, you use those red parentheses. Okay? So, type on your machine, give me the two answers, and then we'll make a decision on which one we want.
I feel like I'm getting
Okay, so do that. Where's the other one? Okay, so which one we choose? Okay. So that changed my answer. I did not take the point away from you because you showed the correct work. So the rounding is not my I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about you showing the work. Start with plus. And just let the calculator do the work. So negative 25 plus the square root of 75 all over that denominator, which is negative 1. Whether you typed it as 2 times negative 0.5 or you change it to negative 1, I don't care. I'm just running out of room here. What'd you get when you did this part? $16 and what? 34 cents. Okay? Then if you do the negative 25 minus radical 75 all over negative 1, whoa, I'm really running out of room there. You got like $33.66, which is the answer to the question that I'm trying to ask. Answer. Okay, if you didn't get either one of those, I'll come over there. But it says, what's the smallest? $16.34. That's what we want to charge. $16.34. Okay. Anybody else stuck on this part to know which? We'll have a few more of these to practice with. Question 5. Evaluate the discriminant for the equation. Is this going to be just step 1 of the quadratic formula, or is this the whole thing? Step 1 only. You find the discriminant, then you're going to be interpreting it. Yesterday we drew 3 pictures. You will need to know which of the situations you're in based on what you figure out from your discriminant. Is this ready for you to type into the discriminant formula? It says ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Is it ready? It's ready for you, so start finding the discriminant. Yesterday on question number 1, that should help you understand once you find this number, what does it mean? That's right. Go back to the situation, the 3 pictures. No, she's got it. B squared minus 4 times A times C gave me negative 87. What does that mean? No real solutions. Because remember, folks, this is one of those parabolas that's missing the x-axis completely. I'm afraid some of you are not paying attention to this, and it won't make sense to you when you're tested over it. Will be next week. Move to question 6. Is it ready for you to plug into the discriminant portion? It sure is. Find that discriminant and interpret what it means. Find the discriminant and interpret what it means. write down which one's positive, negative, and 0. Because that's kind of important. What'd you guys come up with for your discriminant? -4. So what does -4 mean? Okay, one answer that I would accept is no real solutions. If you put 0 real solutions, I would also take that. I'm just saying that I would take either one. You can either say we have no real solutions or 0 real solutions. I'm not going to argue with either. Is question 7 ready for the... No. We're going to have to move that over. So 5x squared plus 10x plus 5 equals 0. Find the discriminant. Interpret what it means. Hopefully you got 0 for your discriminant, right? Right? 10 squared minus 4 times 5 times 5 was 0, right? And that is a one real solution situation. That is where you're touching the axis in one spot. Just like we drew that picture yesterday in your notes. Okay? If you don't have those written in your notes, whether you were gone or just not paying attention, you need to get them in your notes. Okay? Yes. I mean, the one... This one? That one? Correct. Correct. No solutions. Alright, question 8. Weekly revenue for a company is given by this formula. Does this parabola open up or open down? It opens down. Okay? So we're doing something like this. Okay? That's just, the basic idea. We are obviously only interested in quadrant number 1 because prices and revenue need to be positive. Which one's quadrant 1? That's all this stuff up here where it's positive. Use the discriminant to find whether or not there is a price for which the weekly revenue would be $1,500. So, the question is, does $1,500 happen here? If $1,500 happens where I drew that blue line, what is your answer? Yes or no? This would be a no situation, right? What if $1,500 touched one time? That would be a yes, wouldn't it? What if $1,500 was here? That's definite yes. So really, the only way this could be a no, if it's not touching. And what kind of discriminant would cause that no to occur? So you're really looking to see if this is negative, 0, or positive, right? It goes along with my SOL. Solution.
Oh, okay. I know the fact.
I know. I just, yes, I was abbreviating solution, and then I realized the error of my ways. But it's still funny, so I'm going to keep going with it. All right, so. Yeah? It's frozen manure is what it is. Okay. So how do I determine whether it's negative 0 or positive? What am I going to do with this number? Plug it in where? It's the revenue, right? So if 1500 equals negative 4p squared plus 50p plus 966, what are we going to do with that 1500? We are going to move it over, thank you very much, through the magic of subtraction. I do not want to know what that was about. So 966 take away 1500. What's that give me? Negative 534. Okay. All right, now you're ready for your discriminant. Find b squared minus 4ac so we can answer this question. B squared minus 4 times A times C. Negative 6,044, right? Okay, so what does that mean? Yes or no? It's a big old no right there. Big no. Question 9. Is this a discriminant only question, or is this the entire quadratic formula when they ask me to solve? That's the entire thing, folks. So not only do you have to do step 1, but also step 2. Go. Whether it's positive, negative, or 0, that's it. Make sure you're using parentheses when you're trying to find that b squared part. Yes. What's our discriminant? 81, that's true. Keep going. Okay, so we got step 1, now we're moving on to step 2. Well, the square root of 81 is 9, right? So that's helpful. Are you to this one? why we use our notes, don't we? So 7 plus 9 over 8 is what? 16 over 8, also known as 2. 7 minus 9 over 8. Negative 2 over 8, which is negative 0.25, or negative 1/4 if you're a fraction fan. Okay, those are the two answers we should have come up with, and we shall continue this mañana.